Thoughts on Biovores. Now, before I get into the post, I ran into a fair amount of Biovores. I've been playing a lot of Absolute. Absolute is very fun. I like Absolute. I think Absolute difficulty, when you jump into it with a fully leveled up character with a fully leveled up weapon and like a good build, I think Absolute difficulty is the most fun I've had in this game pretty much since it launched. 100%. The campaign was pretty fun. I gotta be honest, that was pretty fun, but like still, whenever they added a new difficulty, I just found the intensity of the gameplay just taking a level up. And right now, I just really enjoy fighting 3 extremists. I really think that, especially for Tyranid missions, because they have a lot more extremist options, I think the absolute difficulty is it's just perfect. We can possibly see something maybe even, obviously maybe even more intense when it comes to horde mode, but we will see. And yes, we're not going to go into the nerfs or the buffs or, anything about class balancing right now. But that said, obviously, classes with ranged attacks are dealing with Biovores pretty well. And I think it's going to take melee classes a bit to get used to, the parries and stuff for Biovores. And yeah, Biovores are very fast. There's good and bad moments because of that. I'm going to show off a clip, but first I want to go into this post. But the Biovores are super fast. They get into anywhere in the map. So there's a lot of times where I've noticed that if me and my teammates are just waiting around too long just to find the thing, we'll just move on. As I do have a good time fighting them. They kind of creep me out because of the way they like skitter around, and it's just like it's like a giant termite or something. But yeah, I like Biovores. I will say I like Biovores. I like them more than the Disc Shamans. And while we're on the subject, I guess the Disc Shamans, they do dodge less now, so they're less annoying as well. But yeah, maybe one day we'll talk about those guys. But for now, the Biovore is probably one of the funniest, creepiest, and kind of a pain. it's kind of a pain to deal with, but like in a good way. It has its own strategy, and the spore mines can be an issue. So I don't know. I feel like the Biovores throw a lot at us, as they do a lot. They do a lot. They go they go all over the place. And they have like extra armor, which actually is pretty cool. And I think they're unique. So I genuinely think whenever you get the extremist spawn queue for Tyranids, it's just like, wow, okay, what can happen? There's so much they can throw at you now. And I think fighting Tyranids are better off for it. It's very enjoyable. Absolute is super fun. Unlike the stupid stinky Birdman, I believe the second post-launch enemy to be very fun, and I even find them amusing at times. yeah, that's exactly. I find them amusing, but I can also see where they can, be annoying. They're amusing and annoying. But I think they're, more on the amusing side. They're an extremist enemy, so they don't show up often enough to be annoying, even on absolute difficulty. It's a coin flipped on whether or not they'll scurry to the other side of the room at mock Jesus, which I find very funny to watch, to launch spore mines at you, or you will try to get into melee range. Yes, they can go out of their way to stab you specifically. They can. I think their melee attacks are fine. They're just I gotta get used to them. I genuinely don't see Biovores really coming to attack me as often as I would like. What appears to be the best counter is melee, but these artillery pieces got hands, or claws if you prefer, and will tear you apart if you aren't careful. Yeah, they have some mean melee attacks. It's interesting though, this person saying that the best counter is melee, probably because of gun strikes. That's interesting. Maybe I should go and try to melee more Biovores. 3 of them at the same time is not actually as bad as you might think. This happened to me on Absolute when I was the last one standing as a Vanguard. While I was still alive, not a single one of them went into artillery mode and tried to box me. You read that right. These 3 enemies, which excellent at range, ran up to me and tried making it personal with a short range class. Biovores are Giga Chads that the Thousand Suns wish they were and will forego any range advantage to fight in honorable and glorious melee combat. Okay, so it seems like this person's experience with Biovores is the fact that they just love to throw hands, which is kind of interesting. That is not my experience with them. My experience with them is they spawn in, they shoot a couple spore mines, and then I never see them again. Depending on what map you are in, sometimes they just leave, I swear. They're kind of funny. I managed to survive long enough for my team to respawn, but those 3 Biovores will forever live in my memory, and I cannot find it in my heart to hate them. Okay, fair enough. One nitpick I do have is that while in artillery mode, they become practically immune to range damage, meaning you might have to chase them down to stab them. Yeah, that's fair. I just shoot the gun, but I'm not 100% sure if that even does anything. I know they have a moment where if you shoot the gun, it kind of staggers them, but you know, I just don't want to shoot at their armor, and if they're just around, so I just go for the gun and the head when I can, you know. I can also concede that their spore mines are a notable hindrance. Yeah, I agree. Spore mines have been popping up, but honestly, I thought spore mines were going to be worse. Sometimes they just sit around. Like, the Biovore spore mines are very relaxed, especially to those brothers who may struggle with mines. Overall, I believe they are a welcome addition to the roster and further proof that Tyranids blow chaos out of the water every time, but I'm interested on what you all think. Yeah, I actually definitely agree with this. I think the fun factor for Tyranids just leveled up completely. Now, when on the subject of Absolute, Tyranids and Absolute are very fun to fight. Chaos, holy cow. I know a lot of people are saying like Absolute is easy or whatever. I'm not buying it. Chaos Absolute missions can get insane. Then you get a lot of chaos in Absolute. But that said, I have been completing these missions, but it's been close, and every fight has been like, you know, very, very close. It's been intense. But yeah, I do think Tyranids are way more fun to fight than Chaos at the moment. Even though, you know what, actually, Terminators, since I've been playing fencing a little bit here and there, I've been able to parry Terminators pretty consistently again. So I'm definitely getting ready for my Reliquary Absolute run. I can imagine that's gonna be wild. But yeah, I've been seeing a lot of numbers for Chaos. Like, I've been seeing a lot of spawns. And a lot of spawns for Tyranids, but now Tyranids have basically the extra Extremis utility, now that they have Biovores, and then they obviously have Lictors, Raveners, and, you know, Zoanthropes, so, oh boy. Yeah, Tyranids are very fun now. Tyranids are very fun. Definitely let me know what you guys think in the comments, how you guys are, how you guys are handling Biovores. But yes, I want to show off a clip real quick that pretty much shows what I'm talking about. When it comes to Biovores just spawning in, shooting a couple times, and then, like, leaving. All right, so this is Inferno. This is a similar situation to what I just went through, is, like, we legit had, like, 2 Biovores spawn or something, and then they just kind of left. This is so funny. Look at these guys skitter around. Oh, dude, he turns his back on the Biovore. That's dangerous. Oh, this is a solo run also. Yeah, see, and then the Biovore just... like, how did you get up there, dude? That doesn't make any sense, dude. Why did he turn his back? Holy cow. But yeah, then they just jump up here. And it's like, yeah, those spore mines are going to be a little bit annoying, but you could literally just leave if you want, and the Biovore will still be up there just hanging out. So, I don't know. Dude, honestly, I like these guys, but they really creep me out with the way they run around super fast, and, you know, they have a lot of legs. But they're also really funny. So, like, I don't know. Biovores I'm really enjoying Biovores. They're definitely amusing. But yeah, the way they jump up in in this spot that's hard to reach, that can be annoying. But it's still kind of funny. Like, how did you get up there? They're an interesting challenge, except on Absolute, where they spawn 2 at a time and fill the whole world with spore mines. This is the perspective of a mostly Vanguard assault player. Apparently everyone else finds them easy. All right. Dude, I kind of want to jump pack slam with a blocking Thunderhammer on a Biovore to see how it works. But yeah, Vanguard, interesting. I wonder how the Melta works against them. I haven't played any Vanguard. I know. There's so much to talk about this patch, and and we'll definitely get to it. An interesting challenge is a good way to describe it. Everyone else finds them easy. This is the weirdest reaction to a patch, by the way. There's so many people who are like, game's ruined. I can't even make it through one fight in Absolute because they nerfed my class. And then there's also people who are like, wow, this game is way too easy. And I gotta say, it's not too easy. I think the difficulty is in a really good spot because I've been trying out a bunch of different builds. Try out Absolute without a meta build, and then you will see, you know, you're like, oh, okay. like the old meta is still very strong. Inner Fire, Invigorating Icon, that stuff is very strong. But in Absolute, you don't see many stims. So, you know, without that, sometimes it can be a tad bit difficult. For sure, for sure. It's been very fun. But we'll get to that. I still need a couple absolute operations to complete, and one of them's one of the hardest ones in the game. So I'm waiting for my my whole opinion on it. But it's somewhere in the middle. I think the difficulty's in a very good spot. Is what I will say. And yes, there are challenges. And yes, some of them are biovores jumping in places they shouldn't be able to jump into. Not an issue if you stay at distance. When you close the range, they have some cheesy moves at times. Interesting. I'm not too sure what they mean by cheesy. It's just like sometimes they just feel like little balls, you know what I mean? So it's kind of weird trying to find their claws to like parry them and stuff. I honestly just think I need more time meleeing the biovores and, keeping an eye on their moveset, actually like learning how to parry them and stuff. But yeah, the only time I fought them in a melee range was with Assault, and I had a weird camera situation. We still managed to take it out though, pretty easily, I guess. There wasn't that many spore mines around. Otherwise, I only wish it had as many executions as the Enlightened. That's actually, the Enlightened executions are super funny. The new executions they added were really good also. Yeah, the execution for the Biovore is definitely a little bit plain. I could see that. I've only fought them in Absolute as a running heavy bolter. Occasionally by myself, 1 or 2 at the time as last brother standing, often with support. Either way, I don't find them to be very challenging. Alright, heavy main doesn't seem to mind the Biovores. That being said, I've seen them eat Assaults and Vanguards alive as well, as made the mistakes of leaving them to others less experienced, only to have all the spore mines all the time. Yeah, I will definitely say that if you just leave them alone, it's very dangerous. I haven't had an experience where we left them alone in a spot that we couldn't just immediately move on from. Like the last part of Inferno, if a Biovore spawns in, you need to take that out. It could be a huge problem. Inferno, just in general, is a very fun operation right now. Dude, I'm genuinely surprised of how much the Biovores actually spice things up, because I remember the launch of the Disc Shamans for Chaos, and it didn't really... At first, it was kind of like, oh, you gotta learn how to aim at Chaos now, and it was kind of weird getting used to their parries, but Chaos, as far as how fun they were to fight, it was mainly still at the same level. But I feel like the Biovores now for Tyranids, they keep you on your toes now. Tyranids can get, Tyranids, once you get good at parrying and meleeing them, you can get into a loop where you have a reliable, counter for a lot of the Tyranids movesets. And then now you have Biovores, so it's like, oh, holy cow, you kind of have to find ways to, basically set up movesets in between running away from spore mines, and it just adds a lot to fighting Tyranids, I think. More than what Disc Shamans added to fighting Chaos. Because at times, it's just like, wow, I'd rather fight Rubric Marines than the Disc Shamans, but it really depends, for the most part, like where you are. And now Disc Shamans are a bit easier to fight, so Chaos... I was genuinely surprised about how many Chaos can spawn in Absolute. I don't know what was going on. But yeah, definitely let me know in the comments how you guys been, approaching Biovores. Have you been going in with the heavy, or have you been getting eaten alive as a Vanguard? Holy cow, man! I have a good time fighting them. They can be annoying, but they're funny, and they don't get in your way too much outside of the spore mines, which you can kind of avoid. Whereas the Disc Shamans are just up in your face, just being weird and just floating around all the time. I don't know. Biovores kind of do their own thing. Disc Shamans seem to make it all about them. Basically.